All right.
Boogers.
Mr. Squidward, welcome to the night shift.
That is right, folks. That is Isaiah Leung mourning about his Phillies in Major League Baseball. But welcome to another very special episode of The Night Shift. I'm the host for tonight, John Allcorn. That would be 2020, the hometown studios of Austin, Texas. Isaiah, the Asian Skip Bayless, how are you and the rest of Philly doing tonight?
John, when we first, were discussing about doing the show tonight, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be in such a great mood because my Oakland A's are now, with our win today over the Tampa Bay Rays, we are the best team in baseball. We have the best record in baseball, and I was going to come on here and gloat about how, the A's they went from worst to first, and now they're first in all of baseball. And I was also planning to come on here and gloat about how my Philadelphia Phillies had smoked the Atlanta Braves yesterday 12-2, and how they were going to beat the Atlanta Braves because I was so sure that the Phillies were going to win tonight because the Phillies had the lead. Not one, not two, not three, but 5 points of this game, and somehow, some way, the Phillies managed to dig deeper than rock bottom, and the Phillies somehow, some way, blow it again. And I really don't have any words to fathom what I watched tonight in Atlanta. This might be the most embarrassing loss that I've ever witnessed from the Philadelphia Phillies in my life. It was a total disgrace, a total abomination, and I can't wait to get all my true feelings out in our first topic. I normally tell John and Callan, hey, can we skip this topic? Can we skip this topic when I don't want to talk about this? Well, I want to talk about this, and I want to completely rip the Phillies because the Phillies absolutely deserve to be ripped tonight.
We have tried to tell you. Hey, Leon, it's May. It's a 162-game season, not 60. But Callan, you know how Isaiah Leon likes to overreact, and later it will bite him in the butt. Casey King comes in to say, what's up, Casey? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Isaiah's Phillies are not back. They've never been back. They haven't even showed up. Their pitching is suspect and are a bunch of Higgins. It's Huggies, not Higgins, and that happened on the very show we're doing tonight, The Night Shift. And James Gonzalez comes in to say, I guess nothing's changed about their bullpen. But after you hiding, before we really get about to the Phillies tonight, I got 2 videos to show about our very first topic on The Night Shift tonight.
This team is a joke. This team is a travesty. This team is an embarrassment to society. This team is a total disgrace to all of baseball. Screw this team. I am done with this Phillies team. I completely disown this Phillies team. Done. 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 That's where you guys know how when Shakespeare wrote an awful play, the crowd would throw food at him and at the actors that were performing the play on the stage. It was carrots, tomatoes, fruits, all kinds of stuff they would throw. Well, the city of Philadelphia should go to Citizens Bank Park and pelt Citizens Bank Park with Phillies cheesesteaks after that abomination of a performance by the Philadelphia Phillies tonight. That was a total disgrace by the Philadelphia Phillies in Atlanta against the Atlanta Braves. You have the lead in 5 points of that game, and all 5 points you managed to blow. It's a total disgrace. Every Philly player and coach and manager should be forced to remove the P from their jersey and their caps tonight, because to put on the P, whether it's your uniform or your head, your cap, you have to wear that with great pride. And tonight, those Phillies players and coaches brought great shame to the P tonight. So they should be forced to be stripped of the P on their jerseys and their caps. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. What? Oh my God, you had it!
James Gonzalez comes in and say, set the shirt on fire. That's what I was kind of hoping maybe he would do a little bit. Who knows? Or just throw it away. Hey, Leung, I'm going to bed. But how about them Phillies, baby? They are not back. But, John, we'll see you tomorrow night. Another episode of the Marker Dudes by Isaiah. That brings us to our first topic of the night shift tonight. What are your, and again, not a crazy ranks, we got a short show tonight. What are your short initial thoughts about the Phillies and the Braves game tonight?
Well, my initial thoughts is what I said in those videos. The Philadelphia Philly fans should go to Citizens Bank Park and pelt cheesesteaks at Citizens Bank Park after that total abomination of a performance. You literally have the lead. In 5 points of that game, you had a 3-1 lead you had a 3-0 lead entering the 7th, then you had a 3-1 lead entering the top or the bottom of the 9th inning, and with 2 outs, Hector Neris gives up a home run to Pablo Sandoval to tie the game, and then in the 10th inning, you retake the lead. You score 2 runs in that inning. You take a 2-run lead, and then in the bottom of the 10th inning, you somehow, some way give it back again, and then in the top of the 11th, you retake the lead again. You have a 1-run lead, and then you give it away because Didi Gregorius can't throw to first base to save his life. And then in the 12th inning, you not only do you retake the lead, but you take a 3-run lead. You were up 7-4 entering the bottom of the 12th, and I put my phone down. I was watching this game. I put my phone down, and I was like, yeah, the Phillies are going to win. Can't wait to go on the show tonight and, gloat to John
So
about how
before the game's over, you already claimed the victory.
I can't wait to, gloat on the show about how my A's have the best record and my Phillies just went into Atlanta and took 2 in a row against the Braves. And when I came out of the shower, I looked at my phone and I had no words. I honestly had no words. How on earth do you blow this game not only once, not twice, but 5 times? This entire bullpen, they should all be traded right now to Dunkin' Donuts for a box of donuts and a couple of coffees. Because, nobody on this bullpen is worth keeping for the Philadelphia Phillies. Hector Neris is one of the most unreliable pitchers in all of baseball. Connor Brogdon, the guy's got a 7.85 ERA. I don't know what Joe Girardi is thinking, putting him in crucial situations. You don't do that. You don't put a guy that has a 7.85 ERA in those crucial closing situations. And then you look at Brandon Kinsler. I'm sorry. When Brandon Kinsler first signed with the Philadelphia Phillies, I was like, oh, yeah, the Phillies got the steal of free agency. Brandon Kinsler last season, he was so dominant with the Marlins. And I think I'm going to accuse Brandon Kinsler of being a spy for the Miami Marlins. I think Brandon Kinsler is spying for the. That's honestly how I can explain his performance. How do you go from having a 1.80 ERA with Miami to with Philly having a 6.85 ERA? It makes no sense whatsoever. Brandon Kinsler, they needs to be investigated for being a traitor because this guy, I guarantee you, is spying for the Miami Marlins. And then you look at the other guys, De Los Santos, I don't even know what he was doing when the Phillies needed a guy to come in and close the deal out. This guy has not pitched that much in the big leagues, and you throw him into the fire, of course he's going to blow it. And Matt Moore, I've said on so many occasions, the Phillies need to get Matt Moore out of this organization. Matt Moore, I love Matt Moore. I love the story of Matt Moore. But Matt Moore just doesn't have it to be a major leaguer. He just doesn't have it. You tried him in the starting rotation. He gave up like a gazillion runs. Now you put him in the bullpen, and what does he do? He gives it up again. So this entire Phillies bullpen, they should all be traded or cut immediately. The Phillies need to do an entire house cleaning of this bullpen, and this also goes back to the Phillies ownership. You spent so much money on your offense. You signed guys like Bryce Harper. You traded for Real Muto. You then re-signed Real Muto. You then gave Didi Gregorius a lot of money. You also got Gene Segura. You paid him a lot of money. You have Hoskins. And you also, signed Zach Wheeler to a big contract to bolster your starting rotation. You signed Aaron Nola to, or to a long-term extension. You basically doled out a lot of money to your offense and your starting pitching. But when it came to your bullpen, so I don't know why, but you decided to only spend pennies when it comes to your bullpen. John Middleton, do you know that your bullpen is the most important component of a Major League Baseball team? Pitching is the most important component of a Major League Baseball team. You look at the San Diego Padres. Why are the San Diego Padres so good? Because the San Diego Padres have great starting pitching. They also have a great bullpen. You can't win with just having a great starting offense and a great starting rotation and a trash bullpen. You are like the 2011 Texas Rangers, who had a dynamic lineup, great pitching rotation, but an awful bullpen. And where did it got them? It got the Texas Rangers to back-to-back L's in the World Series and also one L in the American League Championship Series. You're not going to win a championship by having a bad bullpen. This Phillies bullpen has been awful for the last 3 seasons. The Phillies keep going cheap in that bullpen, and I don't know what it's going to take for these Phillies to learn their lesson. All of these Phillies players, like I said in the video, they should be forced to play with just a bland red cap and only a red t-shirt, because to put on Phillies gear, to put on a uniform with the word Phillies on it and that P and the P on your cap, you have to wear it with great pride. And these guys brought shame to not only the city of Philadelphia, but they brought great shame to that P tonight with that abomination of a performance. This was, like I said earlier, the worst loss I've ever seen as a Phillies fan, because losing the World Series, I can fathom it. But losing like this when you have the lead in 5 times in this game, it's a total disgrace.
Is that like another franchise in Major League Baseball that's very cheap? Oh, wait. That's a team in Oakland, I believe. I don't know the team of that franchise. I don't think Isaiah does either, but James Gonzalez, I was kind of saying the same thing. Earn your P. Going to some of the comments here before we finish our MLB segment. This is something, and I've said, and I don't watch baseball, but this guy's just been very overrated. The Phillies need to get rid of Bryce Harper. I don't know much about baseball, and I actually understand completely what you're saying. Matt Moore's literally at the end of his career, sadly. Well, James, unfortunately, that happens in everyone's career. Denial and pride go together, man. You've had a career, but you need to know when to end it before it's way too late. Phillies would have to eat up a lot of money, and he would have to waive his no trade clause. And Christy Wilson says the Phillies are being overshadowed by the Sixers in Philadelphia, even though the Philadelphia 76ers haven't done anything in the playoffs. Tanking does not work. Casey King also says before we move on, good luck with that. So, Huggies, if you're ever out there seeing these videos, come sponsor us and Isaiah, because I know Isaiah would be a big fan of that. As we end off the MLB segment on the night shift tonight, Isaiah, you're going to overreact, so I'm asking you not to. The Boston Red Sox go off to a 2013 start after finishing last place in the AL East last year. Should we buy into it, or were you just acting like a bunch of Higgins?
John, I'm going to surprise you, my man.
No, you
We
won't.
shouldn't buy into it just yet because it's still early in the season. The Boston Red Sox last year, they were in last place. Their pitching was awful. Their lineup, JD Martinez struggled. There was a lot of guys that had down years in that 60-game season, and they were engulfed in turmoil because they had just fired their manager, Alex Cora, who was a part of that cheating scandal in Houston as the bench coach of the Houston Astros when he took part in that cheating scandal. And they had Ron Renicky as the replacement manager, and they were just, engulfed in turmoil the entire season, and there was a lot of chaos surrounding this team. And after that season, they brought back Alex Cora after they fired him. They brought him back, and I was one of the people that were like, the Red Sox are stupid for bringing him back, because why would you bring back a guy who's been accused of cheating not once, but twice? He's for sure going to cheat again. And I don't know what it is with Alex Cora, but I'm going to give him his credit. This guy, for some reason, whenever he's a manager with the Boston Red Sox, the Boston Red Sox turn it on just like that. I don't know what it is. The hitting, the lineup all of a sudden becomes good. The pitching has been surprisingly good thus far. It's a testament to Alex Cora and the culture that he's built in Boston. But the reason why I still got to say I can't buy into it just yet is because you've seen a lot of these teams over the years, like the Texas Rangers a couple of years ago and the San Francisco Giants, where they have hot streaks to begin the season, and then they end up falling back to where the projections projected them, in the middle of the season. So I still got to see a little bit more from the Red Sox, but I am impressed by what Alex Cora is doing in Boston. And to Christy's point about Alex Cora and the cheating, she brings up a really good point. I'm still kind of wary about Alex Cora and the cheating. I'm kind of suspicious, John, and this might be a conspiracy theory, but I'm kind of suspicious that the Red Sox might be cheating again, because Major League Baseball, and I don't know why they did this, Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred and MLB, for some reason, after shutting down the video room and not allowing the players to have access to video in the middle of the game in the 2020 season after the Astros cheating scandal, they completely erased that rule for this season. So now the Red Sox players and every player in Major League Baseball and every team in Major League Baseball, they have access to, video. Yeah, they have access to video during the game, and they can go into the video room and look at, opposing pitchers and, look at film. And JD Martinez, who's one of the Red Sox best hitters, he has gone on record in the past and says how much he relies on watching film, especially during the games, because he's a designated hitter. He doesn't have to play on the field, so he can go in after he's done batting, go into the video room and watch, the pitchers, how they're throwing the ball and how he's swinging at the ball. So I'm kind of wary because of that. I'm worried maybe the Red Sox have discovered another way of cheating. They have discovered another way of cheating by allowing video access again, which I totally do not understand. Why would you give players video access again? Because John, you and I both know that if you give the players this video access, it's like a kid in a candy store. They might get caught cheating once, they will find a way to cheat again.
This is the main reason why I can't get into baseball, because it devalues a trophy. It devalues a World Series win. Not for every team, because there are teams that I guarantee what do I know about baseball that win it and deserved it and that earned it. But the fact that Major League Baseball doesn't punish their players, just like I said about other topics. What does this say when I say actions speak louder than words? What does it say how they feel about the players? What does it say, more importantly, Isaiah, how they feel about the fans? It's a gigantic middle finger, because I want to get into baseball. I really do. I was talking to some people behind the scenes on DMs, but I just can't, because when you allow cheating, it just makes me like, oh, this game I'm about to watch, there's going to be some cheating. It just causes so much verbal bubbly diarrhea inside my body. I can't stomach watching baseball, really, for this very reason. Casey King pretty much summarized it here just with James Gonzalez. Robert Manfred has a problem with Major League Baseball. It's the worst commissioner of all 4 major sports. It needs to go. Couldn't agree. Well, my man James Gonzalez is going to say Major League Baseball probably won't punish cheaters like this ever again. Absolute garbage. And here's what I don't get, though. Because what is the point of having a season? What is the point of having the playoffs, these series in baseball, Isaiah? What is the point in people even playing? If cheaters, let's say let's say I'm a commissioner of, let's say, the White Sox, and this hypothetical situation. And if I cheat and somehow we go, 120 something games this year?
162.
162. Let's say we get 140 out of 162. And we go undefeated throughout the playoffs and undefeated in the World Series. Major League Baseball and the commissioner, Robert Manfred, wouldn't do anything. Wouldn't that be a problem? Wouldn't that be? And this is why I don't like talking about baseball. Not because it doesn't have potential where I could watch it. I can't get excited about it like I do football, and maybe occasionally the basketball during the playoffs or this playing tournament, unlike what LeBron said. Because it's like we already know an outcome of a game. And if you already know outcome of a game like back in the future, it ruins the joy of sports. That's what we love and hate about sports, Isaiah, unlike baseball, is that we don't know the outcome for the most part. Especially in baseball, like you say, you could have a hot streak, or for some reason your ankle just starts breaking. You don't know. Anything can happen in baseball. You could have a swing and a miss, your arm, your finger could break. Anything can happen. Just like a player with the Oakland A's that broke his pinky, playing video, anything can happen. And that's why I can't watch baseball. I can't. Because if they're not doing anything about it in 2017 with the Astros, it's never going to change. And you can't just outright fire a commissioner like you could like a manager at a fast food restaurant.
John, I think the worst sin about this is that forget what the Astros did for a sec. The Astros, they used the video room and the video access during games to figure out opposing teams' signals and what pitches they were throwing. Okay, so then you take that away. You take that away to prevent other teams from doing that, and you did that for 1 year, and now you're giving it back to the players. So that just makes no sense whatsoever. Why would you take it away just for 1 year, just to return it back to the players, giving them ample opportunity to cheat again? It just makes no sense whatsoever. Rob Manfred, I feel like his attention is in the wrong things. His attention is in, he doesn't care about this whole cheating scandal, which he should. He should put more attention to it. But instead, his attention is to trying to fix baseball, trying to implement these BS rules that absolutely they stain the game and they make the game absolutely crappy. It's just a terrible situation, man. And like Casey says, we are definitely going to have a lockout, in my opinion, after this season.
If players and organizations can get away with this, why would they stop? Why would they stop doing what works? It's like a kid with the parent. The parent keeps saying, no, don't do that. You can't do that. And then the kid does it again, and the parent does nothing. That's what it's like with Major League Baseball, and it's definitely been frustrating. Here, Christian Wilson says, I've been a baseball fan all of my life, and Manfred makes me sick. Casey King, I definitely see a lockout coming after the season. Man, now that I learn more about baseball in terms of all this, I'm all for it. Robert Manfred, you're joking. You need to be fired. And the fact that I'm talking baseball, this tells you one thing. On tonight's program, John might have to watch the Little League to avoid cheating. Haha. Oh, wait. There's cheating in Little League 2. Cheating does happen in all sports, though, to be fair. It does. But it seems to happen more in baseball, or at least it's a lot easier to cheat in baseball. Because in football, you can't stop in the middle of the game and go back inside to check the film of what the other team is doing. Like, you're right there on the field. You can't just stop. Let me go back to the locker. No, you have to stay on the field. You can't pull a Josh Norman. And that's where I can't get into baseball. This is not going to change. And unless the lockout happens, then I have no hope for me watching baseball. Ishmael says, good evening, fellas. What's up, Ishmael? Once again. Finally going to a segment that I can actually enjoy and not cost me misery, unlike Robert Manfred, who made me talk about baseball. Puh. Isaiah, I can't even believe we're really talking about this topic. This should be an easy no. The San Francisco 49ers did address a lot of pieces in the draft. You got your supposed fraudulent franchise quarterback, but somehow, some way, you put a question, should the 49ers bring back Richard Sherman? I'll give my quick comment. He already had a first-year first-ballot Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion. The team is getting younger in terms of defense, in terms of certain positions on the defensive side of the ball. He's at the tail end of his career. Even if you give him a contract, is he going to fulfill it? Cornerbacks at that age aren't really worth much. He's like the Larry Fitzgerald of cornerbacks in terms of his age. I don't see him bring any value, but what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is the 49ers absolutely should bring it back for 1 year. For 1 year
He's
only.
33, 34. He's not going to help your defense play.
Hey, he's going to be the best corner on our roster. If you look at the 49ers' entire roster right now, Richard Sherman, will, if he comes back, will be the most experienced and best corner on the roster.
If he's healthy, though.
Yeah, if he's healthy. I don't trust Emmanuel Mosley. I don't trust, the rookies that they just drafted because they haven't played a snap in the NFL. And the other guys, they've either been hurt throughout the entirety of their career, or they are just inconsistent. And Richard Sherman, you know what you're getting from him. You get a guy who knows what he's doing, knows his job in the 49ers defensive scheme. I say bring him back for 1 year, because right now the Niners, I feel like they are a team that is building for now and for the future. They brought a lot of players back on 1 year contracts, and they have a team that's ready to win now with Jimmy Garoppolo and those guys. And while they are setting up for the future with Trey Lance and Aaron Banks, who they drafted, the offensive lineman out of Notre Dame, and they drafted a couple of corners from Oregon and USC as well. They're building for now and the future. And I think, 1 year deal for Richard Sherman, why not? Bring him back for 1 year. He can mentor some of these young corners that they got and help them out. And also he can help you win now while you're preparing for the future.
It's not a bad thought or idea, but folks, let us know what you think in the comment section below. Should the San Francisco 49ers bring back cornerback Richard Sherman? There's no doubt he's had a Hall of Fame career, but at this point, I get the mentorship, but I just don't see at this point. I mean, why would they? Let the rookies play, let them get the job done. But no way, he's too old, lost a step. And you're basically, regardless of how much the money is, though, Isaiah and folks out there, he's just going to be standing on the sides most of the time, regardless if he's healthy or not. At cornerback at 33 to 34 years old is it's like the Emmitt Smith when he signed with the Cardinals back in the early 2000s. He's not gonna play. He's not gonna have playing a long time. It's gonna be a 1 year. Not even he plays the whole year. Certain positions, when you get to that age, it doesn't matter the accolades. It doesn't matter what you've done in your career. We're talking about right now this season. I don't see it happening. He did say Lance Mahomes 2.0, and that is a complete. And this is why you won't be a GM of the NFL, because you overreact and you have no body of work to base your comments on anyway. About the Cowboys. Emmitt Smith signing. Why would you give the players access to video game after taking it away? It was like a parent taking a bite can't you stole it for 5 minutes. Exactly. That's the same point that Madden on. It's like that's like telling that son, no, you can't do that. You can't draw on the wall. No. And what does Johnny do later? He draws on the wall yet again. And the parent absolutely does nothing. So Robert Manfred, you're never gonna see this video. If there was a way for you to get fired, I'm advocating for it. Because just the word cheating alone, obviously we can cheat in video games. That's a totally different story. But when you cheat in Major League, in any sport, obviously it happens, but it happens more in baseball because I feel like it's a lot easier. Video access, that's like having video access to the headsets. To the other opposing team in football during halftime, even like two plays that they had. That's basically the football's version of it, if that were to happen. That's disgusting. I can never, ever watch baseball. This next thing, my man, is the Broncos head coach Vic Fangio says Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater were equally split time reps. Do you like or dislike his decision? Or is it just him trying to block out the noise of potentially getting quarterback Aaron Rodgers?
Well, when Teddy Bridgewater was first traded was acquired by the Denver Broncos, I kind of knew that this was going to happen simply because, George Payton, if you watch his press conferences, he basically said what the Broncos are doing, that they're going to bring in veteran competition and they're going to let Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater both have equal first team reps and compete, and whoever wins that competition will win the starting quarterback job. So I'm not surprised by this. I thought this was their plan all along. If they get Aaron Rodgers, however, it will be a totally different story. But I don't think the Broncos should bank on the fact that they will get Aaron Rodgers. I think that if they do it, it's going to be if they bank on the fact that they're going to get Aaron Rodgers, that's going to be a stupid idea for the Denver Broncos. They should focus on how do you help Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater be the best players they could possibly be and help you win right now. Because the Denver Broncos, they need to win this season. They at least have to have a winning record and maybe make the playoffs for Vic Fangio to save his job. And, John, to be honest, I know you're a Denver Broncos fan, and this is going to hurt you because whomever is the quarterback of the Denver Broncos, it's not. First of all, John, stop hiding from the facts, man. Whomever is the starting quarterback.
You basically disown a team and then bring back says you believe them all along. So don't try to mimic because you know that's true. At least I own up to the music every time.
Whomever's the Denver Broncos quarterback next season, it's not going to matter as long as Pat Shurmur's calling plays. I've been on this show and
doesn't matter. It's Aaron Rodgers. I trust Aaron Rodgers.
Pat Shurmur is the blandest offensive coordinator in the history of the NFL. This guy was, bad with Eli Manning. He was bad with Daniel Jones. I don't know why this guy keeps getting play calling jobs. It makes no sense whatsoever. I watched the Broncos offense last season, and all they did was run the football in the first 2 downs, and then they would throw short passes to try to get a first down on 3rd down, and the trend would continue on and on and on. Pat Shurmur, he doesn't use motion. He doesn't use any no huddle. He doesn't, get Drew Lock out of the pocket and try to, sling the ball down the field, which is Drew Lock's strength. This guy, he makes his players fit to his own scheme. It's not the other way around where he fits his schemes to the players, and I think that's the real problem of the Denver Broncos offense. Y'all should have never fired Rich Scangarello. That was a terrible decision by Vic Fangio, and hiring Pat Shurmur maybe even worse than the decision to fire Rich Scangarello.
I trust Aaron Rodgers here, but Smith in that red uniform did look so odd. I believe that was the 2003-2004 season. So, which is really awkward, though, because that was right around the time they had McCown, Bolden, and I believe Fitzgerald, but I may have the year wrong. Christian Wilson asked, I'm going to answer this one as a Broncos fan. How much do you think the Broncos should give up for Rodgers? It would be 2 first-round picks, and maybe a second or a third. It would also have to be either some type of other offensive player. Because Teddy Bridgewater, if you get Aaron Rodgers, Teddy Bridgewater is your backup quarterback. We don't need Drew Lock. We don't need Drew Lock as our starter, as our backup, as our third stringer, as our rider boy, as our coffee man, as our assistant. We don't need him in the entire organization. Bye-bye, Drew Lock. As a Broncos fan, you are not welcome here. And again, Tyler Work says Drew Lock's strength is when the opposing team goes into a soft print defense. I mean, no matter what, Drew Lock doesn't really have any strengths as an NFL quarterback because you can tell, regardless of the numbers, ignore Pro Football Focus. Just look at the film. And the guy can't make a decision to save his life. I trust an orangutan to throw the football down the field and to wipe their own butt than I do to trust Drew Lock to throw a game-winning touchdown for my Denver Broncos. And Ishmael with the biggest troll comment of the night. Sign Shurmur to a 15-year deal extension to make my head flippin' explode.
Hey, John, you said you don't like Vic Fangio. Why not have head coach Pat Shurmur?
I know you're trolling me. It's all good and fun. I would disown my Broncos if somehow that happened.
How about head coach Pat Shurmur, John?
It'd be Vic Fangio. It'd be either way. Both of them. First of all, obviously this would never happen because it's a troll. But let's say even if it was a 5-6 year extension, John Elway, you deserve to be fired. This is like the type of decision that John Elway makes is very questionable because you continue to give Vance Joseph a chance and he couldn't coach to save his own career. This guy's a terrible defense. Look at it. You drafted Isaiah Simmons last year in 2020 with a first or second round pick. And how did he work out? Who's that defensive coordinator, if I remember correctly? That's Vance Joseph, right, Isaiah? The same guy that got fired from Denver because he couldn't wipe his own you-know-what. Couldn't coach a flipping team. He had Trevor Siemian, who literally could have been our starting quarterback for the next 4 to 5 plus years. Think about the numbers that he put in the second year were really good. We were 9-7, that close to making the playoffs. That next year in 2017, 2018, we were that close to making the playoffs. So it was a crucial game. Who was running that offense? Vic Fangio. I'm not saying Isaiah Simmons is going to be like a bust driver. That's a phenomenal player. But who's the defensive coordinator to develop those defensive players? Vic Fangio. And I say that, Vance Joseph. Hagen's mummy here. So those type of decisions that John always made about Vance Joseph in the past, if somehow, even if we didn't get Aaron Rodgers and they had like a winning record but didn't make the playoffs, I can see him keeping him. Not because they should, because that's the type of decision I could see John Elway making. Oh, boy, you are right. Minus will make Isaiah Leung offensive coordinator. He would be a better offensive coordinator at this point. Like, this guy couldn't even coach his kids' little league soccer team. He couldn't coach his little league flag football team. He literally, the kicker would be throwing a pick six. That's how bad it would be as an offensive coordinator for his kids' flag football team. LOL. Hashtag screw you, John. I don't say that right now, but if he makes a decision somehow, someway that we don't get Aaron Rodgers, I will be saying it then if we don't get Aaron Rodgers. Because I understand that you have Patrick Mahomes, so you need to see if you can get some key turnovers quarter way through the season, 18-week, 17-game season. But you still don't have the long-term answer at the starting quarterback position. I love Teddy, but he's in his late 20s, early 30s. So if you don't get Aaron Rodgers, you're somehow convincing me that in some way Teddy Bridgewater, and you're convinced that Teddy Bridgewater is your guy. You're convinced that Teddy Bridgewater is going to lead this team to win, to be in this win now mode. But who knows? Anyway, no way, no how. This next topic was the dumbest topic on tonight's. This is just a rumor. I give it no factual evidence or anything. There's been some rumors, folks, and I'm bummed to say this because this is not even going to happen. This is the dumbest story I've heard coming out of the NFL. The Jaguars are likely to sign Tim Tebow as a tight end. I'll give my quick thought. It's not going to happen. You're just trying to create clicks and views, and there's no substance to it at all. Nothing is going to happen. Tim Tebow isn't in the NFL anymore. He's not in Major League, he was going to be potentially Major League Baseball. He's doing great things off the field, there's no doubt. But this is the dumbest story, Isaiah, I have seen this offseason, if not in NFL history.
Well, first of all, I don't think it's a fake story because he tried out for the Jaguars with Urban Meyer watching, with Shad Khan, the owner, and with Tony Khan, the Jaguars, Shad Khan's son, watching as well. And Shad Khan, I believe, made some comments the other day that Tim Tebow, the Jaguars, if they do sign Tim Tebow, he would be a great fit for them because Urban Meyer, quote unquote, knows great players. I'm just, reading exactly what Tony or Shad Khan said about Tim Tebow. Are the Jaguars, do I think they're going to do it? I think they are going to do it. And the reason why is...
This is why you're going to do... There's no way they're going to do that.
They're going to do it.
I can't believe you. I can't believe it. That is ridiculous. There's
reasons.
No reason. No, there's no reason for you to believe that is going to happen. That is ridiculous.
John, do I think it's a stupid idea? Yeah, I think it's a stupid idea because how old is Tim Tebow? He's 33 years of age. He's been out of football for 6-7 years now, and for him to have to transition to a tight end, which you get more contact than being a quarterback in the NFL, it's absolutely ridiculous. But the reason why I think it's going to happen is because Urban Meyer is lobbying for it. Urban Meyer wants Tim Tebow. Of course,
it creates stories and content when there's nothing going on in football. Just because he says it doesn't mean he means it. Not every NFL coach, when they say every single thing, they actually mean that, Isaiah.
I know that, but Urban Meyer, he coached Tim Tebow in Florida. He loves Tim Tebow.
In 2008, 2009. That was a long time ago. We were all elementary school time.
And they still have a close relationship. And the second reason why I could see this happening is because they're the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, and let's say, in December or late November, you're 1-12, right? You're 1-12. You're going to put Tim Tebow out just to draw fans and sell tickets. That's literally why this is going to happen. It's because the Jaguars want to sell tickets. And the last but not least, the reason why I could see this happening, it's because right there, James Gonzalez nailed that on the head. Urban Meyer just moved next door with Tim Tebow. Connect the dots, folks.
Not going to happen. The dumbest story I've seen. Makes good points. A college football analyst, married, does lots of charity work. Great man of God at a church and does what he does for the man for God. He doesn't need to be in the NFL. It's not going to happen. I don't buy it in any way, shape, or form. What do the Jags have to lose? Honestly, they have nothing to gain either. Like, you're obviously knowing you're a team that's in rebuild mode, so you're going to somehow sign him for a year, and he's going to be gone. So the signing makes no sense. It doesn't help Trevor Lawrence. And you don't even have to sign him to bring him into the organization to help mentor Trevor Lawrence in terms of getting adjusted to the NFL. You don't need to sign him to do that. It's just a way to sell $500,000, almost whatever the contract would honestly look like. Next one here, this is going to fill your big football ego. Zach Wilson says he doesn't want to be given the Jets starting job, even though he knows he's going to get it. There's literally no other quarterback on the roster if he says it needs to be earned. So, Isaiah, what does this say about him being humble? And what does this say about what type of leadership he could bring to the Jacksonville Jaguars?
This shows me that the Jets absolutely got the right quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years.
He wanted him to the Niners.
Yes, I wanted him to the Niners. I thought he would be dynamic with the Niners, but the Niners, they didn't get him because the Jets obviously were ahead of the Niners. They got him instead, so I got to live with it now. And the Jets, let me tell you guys this. The Jets got themselves a franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. I love the attitude of this kid. This kid, he is grounded. He is humble. He doesn't want to be given a job if he doesn't earn it. I love the attitude coming from Zach Wilson. A lot of these, rookies, especially top picks, they feel entitled because, I'm a number 1 pick, or I'm a number 2 pick, or I'm a number 5 pick, and you don't have any quarterbacks on the roster, so you have to give me the job. I don't have to go out and work my butt off to earn it. But Zach Wilson, he is saying the exact opposite. I know there's no quarterbacks right now besides me that's on your roster right now, and I'm definitely going to be the starting quarterback. It will be truly an upset if Zach Wilson is not the starting quarterback of the Jacksonville or of the New York Jets come week 1. But this kid is saying the right things. He wants to earn it. He doesn't want it to be given. It shows me that he has great character, and this kid has a bright future, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in New York under Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur for the next 10 to 15 years. The Jets, they got their quarterback.
Number one, Jets didn't get the quarterback because the Jets are the Jets. But it's always good, especially being in New York, or ironic, and like the Giants are not in New York. They're saying the right things. You're in a big organization that has a lot of history. It's definitely the right things to say, and he's being humble, and I love it. But at the same time, words, do not help or determine how successful he is with his head coach for the New York Jets. Because the Jets are the Jets. And they will always find a way to make a way to screw it up. Had Geno Smith, he had one good year with Ryan. There's a reason why the New York Jets haven't made the playoffs, I believe, since the 2010 season. And there is an absolute reason for that. It goes back to ownership. So no matter who you have on the roster, no matter who the head coach is, the staff, it goes back to the organization, and it goes back to the ownership.
But, John, let me tell you why it's different, though. This situation is different than Geno Smith and Sam Darnold. Geno Smith, he was a cancer in the locker room. I don't know if you heard about those stories where he got into fights with a bunch of his teammates.
He got punched in the mouth because he made a promise about some type of charity event and didn't show up.
And he didn't show up, exactly. That shows you right there that he doesn't have great character. And then you look at Sam Darnold. I like Sam Darnold. I think the Jets did him wrong. But Sam Darnold has always seemed to me, and I don't know if this is correct about him, but he's always seemed to me like things. He seems to me like the golden boy, the guy that things have to be handed to him, and he doesn't really have to work for things. That's what and I'm not blaming him for like his failures with the Jets. I blame Adam Gase. I blame everything on Adam Gase. But it just seems to me that Sam Darnold, when I look at Sam Darnold and when I watch his interviews, he just seems like a guy that, things are supposed to be handed to him. But with Zach Wilson, I know right now it's just words out of his mouth, but he's just saying the right things. And, he's saying that he doesn't want to be given the job. He wants to earn it. And I think that's what's different about this situation than all the other quarterbacks that have passed New York thus far.
It's not the quarterback situation. It's the organization. The organization is not going to change, no matter who you have as head coach. There's a reason why. Not necessarily just because of the quarterback. Why they haven't made the playoffs since the 2010 season was because of the organization, was because of the ownership. Because no matter who you bring in, who this next level of talent is, the ownership continues the same thing the ownership is going to do. There's a reason why the Jaguars didn't make the playoffs, I believe, that next year. After they were less than 10 minutes away from going to a Super Bowl. And had an elite receiver in Allen Robinson. And had great Leonard Fournette. Both organizations do the exact same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So I wish Zach wasn't the best. I hope he succeeds. But at the end of the day, the Jets are the Jets, and it's the same organization, same ownership. They're not going to automatically, boom, have a light bulb in their head, and things are going to change. But who knows? You're kind of right here. Darnold should say when we were in college, he wasn't ready. He wasn't, because I remember going back and watching some of the games and seeing his stats. I was like, why are people so high on him? He's a turnover machine. They were winning some games, so they ignored it. But it doesn't matter. When you delay the inevitable and you ignore an issue, and you don't address the habits that go to the NFL, the habits from college go to the NFL if you don't address them. And clearly he did. Now, it's not probably him. Yeah, you have Adam Gase. And your best receiver last year was Rashad. And your best receiver was Rashad Perriman in 2020. He had barely 600 yards in 2019. His career year. You bring in Adam Gase, who literally has done diddly squat for an NFL career. So I blame that on the organization for that point, in case he makes a good point. The Jets are a joke of an organization and will always be. So let's be positive about the Jets for once.
Hey, I'm the positive one here. John is the one that's the negative one here. So
because unless ownership changes, nothing is going to change. Because ownership always has the final word. Hence, that the Eagles hired Roseman in 2016. Their relationship with Doug Peterson was doomed from the start. Sooner or later, it was going to blow up. If it wasn't for bringing Nick Foles back, would they have made the playoffs? Or must let's go to that Super Bowl and go to the playoffs again next year? No, because Carson Wentz would have gotten injured yet again. And I hope he doesn't. I hope he stays healthy. But based on the track record, it's not in his favor, at least for right now. Just ownership is incompetent again. Unless ownership changes, which they won't. You've seen this with a lot of franchises in the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and soccer, where no matter what changes you make on the field or with the staff, unless the ownership somehow gets fired and you get new ownership, it's just simply not going to change in any way, shape, or form. I wish Zach wasn't the best. He's saying the right things, but the organization is just not going to change. But for our final topic tonight, going to the world of basketball, Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, the cover of NBA 2K21, the worst sports game out there. And EA blocked me from my email. EA, you know who you are. Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson are out indefinitely with ankle and broken wrist injuries. Isaiah, what are your initial thoughts on these injuries, and what does this mean moving forward for the Pelicans? And did they have too much potential early success last year and they just barely missed the playoffs with Zion Williams in his rookie year and didn't play a full season last year.
My initial thoughts when I heard this is that the New Orleans Pelicans can kiss their season goodbye. Any hope that they had of potentially making the play-in tournament in the NBA and the Western Conference playoffs, all of that is now out the door. You look at these standings right now in the Western Conference. Remember, guys, the Pelicans, they just have to get to the number 10 spot to clinch a spot in the play-in tournament. And if you guys don't know how the play-in tournament works, it's basically the seventh seed would play the eighth seed in one game. Whoever wins that, they clinch one of the top. I believe they clinch the seventh seed in the playoffs, and then the loser of that seventh and eighth seed game would play the winner of the ninth seed and the 10th seed game, and whoever wins that game, they would clinch the final playoff spot in the NBA playoffs. But if you look right now at the Western Conference standings, the New Orleans Pelicans currently sit at number 11. They're 30 and 37. They are 2 games back of the San Antonio Spurs. So with 2 games back, with 5 games left, you might think of it as, oh, they still have a shot. But the reason why I'm telling you they don't have a shot is because they just lost their top 2 scorers in Zion Williamson, who was averaging 27 points a game, and Brandon Ingram, who was averaging 23 points a game. And now you're going to have to rely on guys like Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, Eric Bledsoe, and all these guys that aren't used to being the top scorers to step in and be the top scorers if you want to make the postseason. I just think the Pelicans' hopes of making the playoffs are dim now because of Zion and because of Brandon Ingram not being there. It's a huge loss for the New Orleans Pelicans. I wish, Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson a healthy recovery and a speedy recovery moving forward. And if you look at their schedule, their final 5 games they're at the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets are still vying for a playoff spot in the East, so they are going to come to play. They're not going to rest down for the New Orleans Pelicans. The Grizzlies they still got a shot at making the playoffs in the West. The Mavericks, they're trying to vie for playoff positioning. The Warriors, they are very hungry. They are vying for that play-in tournament. And the Lakers, that final game of the season, the Lakers, they probably are going to have LeBron and AD. So when you look at the schedule, it just looks like a really tough road ahead. And that was already with Zion and Brandon Ingram. And now both of those 2 guys are out. It's a wrap, man. New Orleans, we'll see you guys next season.
I'm not saying the tank, like it all says right here, but set him out the rest of the season. The season's almost over. No need to rush him back. If you have like this much of a chance of making the playoffs, let him sit out. Let him get healthy for next year and get into the potential draft lottery and get a high pick to help with the New Orleans Pelicans. And once you get that pick right there, and don't let him play the rest of the season, you don't bring back Lonzo Ball. Because imagine if they lose the rest of the game for the season and they get a top pick, that's a better option than paying Lonzo Ball, who wants I believe $20+ million a year. To flex on Instagram of what kind of cars he has, but yet isn't a consistent player on the field. Don't give me any of that. $20 to $25+ million per year to be what? To sell the Baller brand shoes? You don't get paid to do that. We're talking about getting paid by a franchise. So don't give me any of that. So they get a high pick this year. And depending on how the rest of the season goes, of course you don't bring back Lonzo Ball. This team has potential. I know, not just on the roster, what they've seen on the field. But they may have had some success too early. And this is the problem and the frustration about sports is when you have success too early, it gets into your head. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Pelicans have a bright future. But if they don't handle it right with 2 moves this offseason, it can go fast. It can go downhill fast before it even goes uphill.
John, the thing I want to add about Lonzo Ball is that these final 5 games of the season, is going to be very, very big for Lonzo Ball if he wants to get that $23 to $25 million payday that he wants in free agency. Because now you're the alpha of this team. Zion's gone. Brandon Ingram's gone. You are going to be the guy who is tasked with trying to replace their production. You're going to have to step up, man. And if you want the money that you want, you're going to have to ball out. You're going to have to ball out and prove to the world why you were the number 2 pick in the 2017 NBA draft. So this is a big moment right now. I think this is the biggest moment in Lonzo Ball's career.
Definitely is. But even if he plays, let's say he plays the last 5 games and completely lights it up. I mean, it looks like the best player on the planet. You still don't pay him between $20 to $25 million. For what? Because of your last name? Exactly. Haha. Because of your overrated TV show? You're averaging less than 15 points a game. And you want nearly close to $30 million to do what? Oh, look what bro. I don't know diddly squat about baseball. But just looking at the numbers right here. I mean, my gosh, what kind of shooting is this right here? You're against she 5 points per game. Like 3.0 against CNC, 3 points. I mean, dude, like this is the type of money you want. This isn't Monopoly. This isn't Madden, where you can turn off the salary cap here. You don't deserve that type of money. Not because the potential maybe isn't there, because you haven't lived up to it. Your name doesn't get you that money. It's your production on the field, not just in basketball, but in any major league sport on the planet. If you really, really look at it here, as I'm looking at the numbers here, I say I'm disgusted. But let's look at this here. You're averaging what? About 4.8 rebounds. Let's even go even further. One game, you had less than 50% for 3-point shooting percentage? And you want $23 to $25 million a year? You gotta let go of that ego, bro. Regardless of what you think you deserve. Just look. I know I'm saying let's not look at the numbers, but I will look at it at this point when it comes to basketball. A lot of times you will look at numbers when it comes to basketball to determine how much they will get. Because players do sometimes get a higher salary per year, depending on the position in the NBA. We're just looking at the quick numbers I say. There's no way even on Planet freaking Doofenshmirtz, there's absolutely no way. And if the Bulls are doing this, y'all deserve to lose. You want to pay him that and more? To do what? To do what? His 3-point shooting is as consistent as Isaiah with his sports teams. His 3-point shooting percentage is as consistent as EA trying to make a good Madden game, which hasn't happened in over 15 years. Because the Bulls are getting him nearly close to $30 million. I don't want to hear any complaints from anybody in the organization. And when Lonzo Ball doesn't live up to the hype, I don't want to hear it from nobody that works with the Bulls or around with the Bulls or Bulls reporters. Because y'all decided to pay him that type of money. That is absolutely ridiculous. Lonzo is probably asking for that kind of money because it was a lot of motherfuckers. And again, this is the problem is that, like, I'm not saying he's not a bad dad, but I think when it comes to this is your career, Lonzo. You need to do, in your opinion, what you feel like is best, what you feel like is best, not what anybody else thinks. And that's where I definitely think it's kind of frustrating. And this is a slice of humble pie. You can go back to a certain NFL player back in 2020, wanted that type of money in a free agency, if you remember Isaiah and Jadeveon Clowney. But he didn't get signed to Tennessee until June or July. And Rich Paul, if you think Lonzo Ball is getting the type of money, you deserve to get your credentials taken away. You deserve to be fired and working at McDonald's. Because there's no symmetric, there's no pro basketball focused stat that's going to prove that Lonzo Ball deserves that type of money, Rich Paul. You should lose all of the. No, I'm not going to say that. You should lose your job because you're honestly going to tell me that he deserves that kind of money. And also the agent. This is like a dumb thing of in terms of ridiculous situation, like with the agent of Kirk Cousins back in 2018. He got that money. Did he deserve it? No. Did he earn it? No. He didn't earn it. And when you pay players the amount of money that they want and even beyond, what they think they deserve, it's usually going to bite you in the butt. Well, obviously, because when you're literally one of the main players on your team, you're going to get most of the reps, so no kidding. So that's not really the best argument there, man, but that would be a whole show for another day, and you're right, man. The Bulls 10 years ago, oof, definitely a potential team right there. Imagine what you could have had in Butler and Rose, but unfortunately, things happened over time.
The Bulls remind me of one particular NFL franchise that someone on this panel liked.
You can't be talking because your team hasn't even won a Super Bowl since how long? How long has it been? Since your team won a Super Bowl? You can't really be talking. We won a Super Bowl 5 years ago. When's the last time y'all won a Super Bowl? You're laughing, but when's the last time y'all won a Super Bowl? I'm waiting.
1994.
Exactly. So you can't be talking smack about a team who've been in 2 Super Bowls in this century, and one with 2 with John Army, and 1 to 2 with Perry, and one with Peyton Manning. Y'all lost 2 Super Bowls in this century, and both of them was hilarious. Both of them were in heartbreaking fashion. The Ravens one, you had a chance to come back with the lights being out for almost an hour, and y'all still lose that game. You go to the Chiefs. Jimmy Garoppolo overthrows that pass. So we can talk all that smack you want with my team. But I can also say that we won a Super Bowl and we didn't lose one twice in less than 10 years in heartbreaking fashion.
Ishmael, to answer your question, yes, the Lakers are screwed.
Of course they're screwed.
They are screwed because not only are they in the 7th seed and they are probably going to play the Golden State Warriors in that play-in tournament. And you know what? Hey, John, you know when Steph Curry gets hot, look out.
Nobody's stopping him. He's the hottest guy on the court, no doubt.
And me and you, we've watched Lakers games after the show, and we both marveled at how garbage that Lakers perimeter defense is. And imagine that Lakers perimeter defense against Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry could have 50 in that game against the Los Angeles Lakers. But the reason why the Lakers are screwed is because LeBron came back for 1 game. Now he's potentially going to
miss. He's not 100%. Father Time caught up to him.
He's not 100%, but he's also going to miss probably the final 5 games of the regular season. His return is to be determined. So I don't think he's going to come back. Anthony Davis, he's come back, but he's looked very spotty and he's gotten hurt in the games that he's come back. Dennis Schroeder is going to miss the final week of the season because of COVID protocol. Marc Gasol's hurt. Kuzma's hurt. And when he's not hurt, he's inconsistent. You just look at the Lakers injury report right now, and there's like at least 5 guys on there, 5 difference makers that are hurt. So the Lakers are screwed. And even if the Lakers get past Golden State, guess who they probably are going to have to face in that first round? With a LeBron that's not healthy and with Anthony Davis just coming back off injury. Either the Phoenix Suns with Devin Booker and a Chris Paul and that great team, or James Gonzalez's Los Angeles Clippers. And
oh man, imagine if that. And here's the thing, and this shouldn't be a surprise. Of course, the Lakers are screwed, and I think I said I understand all the this is I think right before the season started, or because we were on a call or I think a group chat. Like I understand the Warriors have a lot of injuries, but I can see them still making the playoffs, regardless if it's the 7th or the 8th seed. if that is possible. They would torch the Lakers if that was possible in a play-in tournament. I've never seen a basketball player in my time be that smooth with shooting the basketball, the release of the basketball, the way he does it. It's just definitely something special. Curry was on fire tonight for 50 points, without a doubt. Man, there's not a better shooter in the NBA right now, without a doubt. A future first by a Hall of Famer coming out of Davidson. My comment says, let the Clippers win it all before I die. Well, I mean, I'm a Caps fan, so I mean we won one. It's been a bit, but we've been to many finals, so I can't complain. Lakers defense is Higgins. They should be sponsored by Huggins at this point. Would let high shooters shoot a bunch of points. And man, you're the same guy that said you want Lonzo to come back to the Lakers and his 3-point shooting is garbage. You said that on air.
I said that, yes, and also Ishmael agreed with me. For sure. No way.
He's not going to lower his asking price.
They don't have.
If you're thinking 22 to 25, and the Bulls are willing to give you more than that, of course he's going to take that. If you're Lonzo, if I'm Lonzo, of course I'm going to take that. Why wouldn't you? In any financial sense, of course I would take that, regardless if I produce that amount of money in production or not. Of course I would take that. That would make perfect sense in my eyes if I am Lonzo Ball. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, as we do at the end right before the end of every single episode here, you get the night shift, that one do 2020 and SA Leung. Let's go into tonight's final thoughts. Yeah, before we go into tonight's final thoughts, we got a couple more comments here. Would y'all take the Phoenix over? Yeah, so what? I would take the Suns over them. It wouldn't even be 7 games. Because here's the thing, though, is that this happens with every athlete. Your father time is going to catch up with you. That's exactly what's happened with LeBron. Even if it happened 2 3 years, who cares? He's a future first ballot. He's won multiple championships. But father time has finally caught up to you. And AD, even though he's a phenomenal player, there's just that tiny injury bug. For some reason, always comes to bite him in the butt. And I really don't understand at all.
John, I would still take the Lakers only because the Phoenix Suns are inexperienced. This is their first playoff series, and you and I both know that when it's your first playoff and you're facing up against the defending champs, so a lot of teams normally fold under pressure. And I know the Suns have Chris Paul, but Devin Booker, they haven't been in the playoffs before. So I would only take the Lakers only because of the pressure and the Suns being inexperienced. But man, if that Lakers perimeter defense do not get their act together and they allow guys like Buddy Hield to go for 44 and they allow other guys like Bogdanovich to go for like 40, imagine what Devin Booker, who is a serial killer of a scorer, imagine what Devin Booker is going to do to that Lakers perimeter defense and Chris Paul. I don't even know I'm going to be able to watch what Devin Booker will be able to do, because I have a feeling he might put up 60 on the Lakers with how bad their perimeter defense is. And if LeBron doesn't play in that series, or if he's not 100%, and AD, I don't even know if he's going to be playing because he might get hurt in the final 5 games of the season as the Lakers try to avoid that play-in. It's going to be really tough. It's going to be really, really tough. And the Lakers, they just don't seem to have chemistry right now. You look at the bench. When you look at the Lakers last season, everybody on the bench was, cheering so hard. They were so pumped up for one of the other guys when the other guys would get a basket. This year, you just don't see it. Like, everybody's super quiet, and when someone does get a basket, you don't see guys getting super pumped up. There's just no chemistry with this team. And I think I read somewhere that the Lakers, since they've acquired Andre Drummond's like a minus. He's like a minus 95 with the Lakers. It's horrible. His fit with Anthony Davis has been an atrocity. So
You're the one that got overexcited and really hyped him up coming to the Lakers. So from the Cavs to the Lakers, you're welcome, buddy.
But I would take the Lakers over Phoenix. I think it would be a close series. But if it's the Lakers and Clippers, goodbye, LeBron. See you next season.
I would take the Suns in 7 games, and it wouldn't even be 7 games because LeBron is not. First of all, if LeBron's gonna be out for the rest of the season, of course he's not gonna be 100% if this potential round is kind of with Phoenix and the Lakers. I picked the Suns because I understand, but Chris Paul, I trust Chris Paul than the injury-riddled LeBron James right now because LeBron, when he's fully healthy, nobody's gonna stop him. But when he's not, a lot of more people can stop him. So we thank you. You're welcome for giving you Andre Drummond. Finally, the Cavs maybe do something or just troll another team. But James Gonzalez says, hopefully Lonzo can change his shooting to get his career in the right direction. Frank, he got drafted in 2017, 2018. If it didn't change it by now, just like Ben Simmons, if it didn't change it by now, I don't see it changing in general. Thanks for the show. Not a problem. My man, Montrezl Harrell hates being with LeBron and the Lakers, and it shows. And this is the problem. I don't know if this happened even before they won the championship, but a lot of times when teams and organizations win that championship, egos and pride, those two things alone, fly everywhere. Doug Peterson wrote a book after winning one Super Bowl. What does Bill Belichick say after they winning? We're already a couple weeks behind. We need to get back to work. Regardless if you want to play with him or not. What does that show? The type of work ethic. It's not just the work ethic, but the brotherhood and the chemistry. And when you let the ego and the pride get in the way, the brotherhood, the chemistry, all of that all together. I shouldn't be surprised. This happens with a lot of teams. But when you let ego get in the way, even if LeBron and AD was healthy and no chemistry, I couldn't see him winning the championship again this year. Because sooner that clashing of the non-chemistry and brotherhood is going to clash and affect going onto the court. It's going to show up on the court in the moment. When somebody doesn't make that shot, somebody is going to flip out. Drummond is trash. Sorry. Couldn't agree more, my man, but he's no longer on the Cavs. How about him with 80? Oh, wait. Never mind. Face the music, like you tell me. Don't talk trash if you can't back it up.
No comment.
No, you tell me to face the music, and I face the music every time. But now you're gonna go against that. Sounds like a hypocrite there, I believe. So you can no longer call me out on anything of not facing the music. When you on air, don't face the music. So you can no longer give me any slack of that. Hopefully Chris Paul doesn't have a hamstring issue in the playoffs again. I hope not. I know sometimes people give him a lot of flack of maybe, oh, he's this or that. But I have no doubt he's a phenomenal dude. This is going to be a fun playoffs, and hopefully without LeBron. Now think about this. This is the first time since 2005, 2006, or give or take, him with the Cavs, since he hasn't been in the playoffs. Regardless of what you think about him off the court with what he does. That's a phenomenal streak. I don't know how to put it into words about that, Isaiah. That's a phenomenal streak, a phenomenal record. And this him not being in the playoffs is not necessarily a bad thing. He's been in the playoffs since 2006, 2007. None of those guys on that roster you can name to this are good point right there. So overall, LeBron, for the most part, from 2006 to 2018, and then brought it back up this last season and won the championship. Been in the playoffs for a very long time. Yes, there was a 1 year in 2019. But it's not a bad thing. You had a great, great career. Now, here's also a problem with the Lakers. I just saw this just now. If it goes the way Lakers fans don't want it to, LeBron and Father Time continue to clash. how did the Los Angeles Lakers approach the offseason? Because now you have AD, who I love as a player, but it's like that tiny injury bug. You're right there. You got a couple guys of 40, 50, 10, and 8. And then he's injured for a couple of games. With LeBron getting older and Father Time catching up, Isaiah, how are the Lakers going to approach this offseason? It could go wrong very quick. It could be very uncomfortable. LeBron, if he's not healthy, could be out of the league in the next 2 to 3 years, if not a little bit longer. Because I understand, because he wants to be a starter and deserves to be a starter. But you have to be on the court. Sometimes, and this happens with every player. The end of an era. We saw it with Phillip Rivers. We saw it with Drew Brees. We saw it with Eli Manning. And we saw it with Peyton Manning. We saw it with so many different players. Now you want to be talking on the air, man, because you don't have to face the music.
But
and that's very interesting there, Isaiah.
John, let me go back to your point about, your question that you posed about what should the Lakers do if they, let's say they get eliminated in the play-in tournament and they miss the playoffs, right? The Lakers, they have themselves to blame because at the trade deadline, you could have traded Talen Horton Tucker.
Will you advocate for them to trade for Andre Drummond? So now you're backing out from that.
You could have traded Talen Horton Tucker, KCP, and I believe it was Dennis Schroeder and a first-round pick for Kyle Lowry. And Kyle Lowry is balling out right now. But the reason why, Rob Pelinka, you did not want to do the trade is because Talen Horton Tucker, this rookie who had a great, preseason and a great summer league with the Lakers. Laker fans have this delusion that Talen Horton Tucker is going to be the Lakers' future after LeBron. You look at the reports that came out about why the Lakers didn't trade for Kyle Lowry. It was because they thought that Talen Horton Tucker was going to be the man after LeBron. And Laker fans in the comment section, they all wrote, yeah, Talen Horton Tucker, he's going to be a star. He's going to be great. He's going to be this and that. I told you when you didn't make that trade, that was the biggest mistake that you could have possibly made because Talen Horton Tucker, I don't know why everybody is so high on him. If you, John, pull up the stats on Talen Horton Tucker. I think he's averaging only like 8 points a game. How is that going to translate to a star? I honestly don't understand. This guy is just a bench player for the Lakers. I don't know why Laker fans were so high on him. I don't know why Lakers management is so high on him. Makes no sense whatsoever. Kyle Lowry, like James Gonzalez said, would have saved the Lakers because Lowry, he can ball and he can get you buckets. And Dennis Schroeder's been inconsistent. And when he hasn't, or when, the guy is either dealing with COVID or injuries, or when he's on the court, he's been inconsistent. KCP, he's been the definition of inconsistent. You should have made that move for Kyle Lowry, and you not making that move and you choosing Talen Horton Tucker over a world champion in Kyle Lowry and a star in Kyle Lowry and an all-star, that's going to cost you your season.
Averaging, I believe, almost 18 points a game this year for Kyle Lowry. Phenomenal player. I understand his age, but bro, if you're in win now, of course you're going to trade a lot of your first round picks because you're trying to win right now. But the Lakers are without a doubt in trouble. Without further ado, let's do this one more time. Let's go into tonight's final thoughts. Despite what's happened on the show tonight, everything else, and not as many freezes on my end, Isaiah, what are your final thoughts on tonight's program?
Well, before I get into my final thoughts, I just want to thank our fans for tuning in to our show tonight. I want to thank I think that's Steven down running the Six Sports Network behind the scenes. I want to thank Steven. I want to thank James Gonzalez. I want to thank Casey King, as well as Ishmael, and also Christy Wilson. And I think we have one more comment that flooded in tonight.
Tyler's?
Yeah, Tyler Work also commented. I want to thank Tyler as well. And I also want to thank my guy Marshall. He tuned in tonight. Marshall, thanks for checking our podcast out. Really appreciate you. As well as Callan, thank you so much for tuning in as well. Looking forward to you coming back to the MI6 Sports Network on June 1st. It's only 3 weeks away until Callan comes back. But great show tonight, man. Final thoughts. Lakers should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. I mean, just look at the stat. You literally chose a guy that is averaging 8.8 points a game and 2 rebounds per game over a champion and an all-star. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's like
he's the new savior after LeBron retires. Come on, Isaiah.
He's the next savior after the Lakers, after LeBron retires. Really, this guy, he's nothing much than a bench player. Rob Pelinka should be ashamed of himself. The Lakers, if they're not gonna make the playoff, they get eliminated from the play-in. It's because of this move. This would have saved their season, but no, they didn't want to do it because they want to build for their future, which is absolutely stupid. But one more final thought is, folks, just want to throw out an announcement right now for you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to announce that me and my man Matthew Soltis, we go back and forth on baseball all the time. We will be starting a new baseball-only podcast here on the MI6 Sports Network called The Baseball Junkies. I think we're going to start it sometime in June, but look out for that. It's going to be a very exciting new podcast upcoming on the network.
You like that? You like that?
My final thoughts before we end tonight's program. Of course, thank you all so much for tuning in. Love all the topics here, my man. A lot of sports and stuff is coming up. So, Aaron Rodgers, my message to you, like I tell Darren Smith this afternoon, let me get you a jacket coat. Let me get you a beer. Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to personally fly to where you live right now, give you the papers to sign right here so you can be our next starting franchise quarterback for the Denver Broncos. The papers are right in front of you to sign. Without further ado, John Allcorn, that would do 2020, Austin, Texas, Isaiah, Leung, the night shift. We'll see you later. Peace. And Isaiah drinks, Soccer Mom drinks.